Hello, Scream Demons, and welcome to the Screens from the Basement podcast with Sam and Casey.
This is a bi-weekly horror podcast in which two horror fans discuss all things horror, including news, recent watches, horror collectibles, and more.
I am one of your hosts, Casey.
And I'm Sam.
And let's get screaming. What is up, Sam?
Man, it's been a while since we've done this.
Anyway, hello, people. Everybody out there listening. Welcome to the Screens from the Basement podcast. Man, if you don't know who we are, let's introduce ourselves first and foremost. This is our first episode 1 from Screens from the Basement. I am one of your co-hosts, Casey Kelderman. Myself and my co-host, Sam Lenz. We hosted a few podcasts in the past that you may have heard of, including Backlot 605, The Killer Countdown, Slashlot. Oh my God! Now we're on to another one, Sam. This one, all things horror, which is something near and dear to our horror-loving hearts. And I think we'll talk about that as we get going here in this first episode, at least for introductions and stuff.
Oh yeah. I mean, you can't keep us from talking about horror for very long. I mean, we never stop talking about horror. It's just that we're narcissists and we think we need to record ourselves and post it on the internet.
Yeah.
You should be listening to our thoughts too, internet.
We don't want to just keep it in a chat between me and Sam. We want the whole world to know about the nonsense we watch.
Yes.
And that's exactly what you and I watch usually. And that's, I think people come to realize that as we get into the show, if they've never heard you and I talk about movies together before, is that we have very similar tastes, but when they differ, they really differ.
Yeah.
And it's quite, I don't know, quite funny how our tastes disalign or realign.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like both of us run very hot and cold with movies. Like,
yeah,
there's not a lot of movies where it's like, oh yeah, that was fine. Like, I'm a movie lover. I love movies, or I just don't like them. I don't know. That's just how I've always been. My letterboxd is ridiculous. So
yeah. And also, I think you and I watch movies, not singular movies differently, but like how we consume movies as a whole differently. Because you do a lot of rewatches.
Oh yeah.
And I don't usually. And if I do, it's horror. Horror is usually my go-to for rewatches.
Yep. I get stuck on movies and I repeat them like songs throughout years. Like, yeah, it's crazy.
As I look up in my office that has basically become just a horror room. It's terrifying in here. There's a chopping mall poster hanging up right above me, and that's one that I immediately go to where I'm like, that's one of Sam's like go-to like rewatches always.
Oh yeah. If I'm struggling to pick anything, it's Chopping Mall is the movie that I'm like 9 times out of 10. If I'm mindlessly scrolling through my streaming channels and I'm just like, nothing sounds good, it's going to be Chopping Mall.
It's going to be Chopping
Mall. I don't even log it on Letterboxd anymore unless it's like you guys should just know I watch Chopping Mall at least once a month.
I think that movie has kind of become a staple of like, at least you and I's like, that's a Sam and Casey movie.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. And I found that movie because of The Killer Countdown, because of the slashers with no sequels list that you and Matt Petty made.
Yeah, that movie.
That sounds
and
like
that's like a subsequent rewatch movie for me too, where I'm like, I constantly for the first year I saw it, I watched it like 4 times like that year. So it's Chopping Mall is going to be a movie that I think eventually we should just do a whole episode on, just because it is like that kind of movie between you and I.
Yeah,
like enough 100%. To talk about just Chopping Mall, but we'll get to that episode at some point. Should we introduce like the format of what this show is gonna entail?
Yeah, I think so, because we put some thought into this.
Yeah, we did. At least at least a one chat's worth of thought into this. No, we actually did put some thought into this. We're gonna have some segments, which is gonna be very cool. Kicking things off every time we do these. First of all, we're gonna be doing these every 2 weeks, which is bi-weekly. So,
Yep.
So 2 episodes a month, maybe 3 if there's a third week that falls in there. Who knows?
Yeah. Or if there's just a week that we're like, oh my God, we have to talk about something.
We have to talk about Shopping Mall now. We just got to get it out of the way. No, so every other week, look out for an episode. I guess whenever this one drops, look out for the next one 2 weeks from now, because we haven't decided when these are gonna drop. So 2 weeks from now, you'll get another episode. But like format wise, segments. First off, we're gonna have a segment called Seller News, which is gonna be kind of themed with the title of this show, Screams from the Basement, in which we're gonna talk about horror news from the last couple weeks. Enough that we're at least interested in what's dropping. Like if we don't care, if we don't care, we're not going to talk about it. Like it's our show.
Yeah.
So if we don't want to talk about it, we won't. But there's a couple news pieces we'll talk about this week. But what's our other segment, Sam?
After Seller News, we get to go into what are you doobie doing? And while that might sound like a drug reference, it's actually a Scooby reference.
Hashtag
because hashtag dooheads. This segment is just, it's kind of like a recent watches. What have you been doing to stay spooky year round? We're going to share some like horror collectibles, finds that we've had in the last few weeks, that type of thing. We decided to name it after our favorite pal, Scooby-Doo.
He's our boy, Scooby and Shaggy and the gang. They're our homies. So we'll definitely talk about Scooby-Doo at least when we watch Scooby then. But I'm really excited to talk about like other stuff aside from movies during that.
Yeah.
Because both of us are like, horror is our life besides our movie watching. So I'm excited to talk about that. I mean, I see your background and my background both have just like horror stuff everywhere. So
yeah, I got my little Mr. Stay Puffed in the corner back there.
I see him. He's hanging out with Buzz and Woody and Jesse. It looks like,
yes, they don't stay up very well.
They're sleeping. They get up when you leave that room, Sam.
Yeah.
And then our last topic for now, before we'll introduce new topics down the road, or segments, I guess, will be kind of just our main broad topic, the title of each episode. This week, we're going to be talking about 10 most anticipated movies for 2023 in the horror genre, because 2022 is coming to an end, or by the time the episode comes out, it'll be gone and we'll be into 2023. So why not talk about some movies we're excited to check out this upcoming year? So pretty stoked to talk about kind of our 10 roughly most anticipated movies of the year.
Oh yeah. Some of these I get the idea that I am probably more excited for than you, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Like there are a few movies on this list that I know I've told you like, nah, I'm not gonna, I don't care about that. And there are a few movies on this list that you've been like, nah, I don't care about that. But then there are also like a couple movies on this list that's like, oh my God, we're both stoked for this.
I think all of them, they're all theatrical that we're talking about. Yes. I'm planning on checking out all of these in the theater this year. So anyway, should we get into our first segment then, Sam?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Seller News, the latest horror news, at least from the last 2 weeks, that we decide to talk about. First piece of news is a movie that we are going to talk about later in the main topic, but the first trailer for Scream 6 and the poster just dropped as well. Scream 6 trailer. Ghostface takes a subway to Manhattan. Sam, what was your initial thoughts watching this? We haven't really talked about this at all, actually.
Actually, no, you and I have not. Here's what I'll say. I'm very excited for Scream 6. I hope that they do something really different and groundbreaking with it, because I think I liked Scream 5. I'm just gonna call it Scream 5. I think I liked Scream 5 more than you did.
Yeah, you did.
For sure. because I've like that was one that I kind of put on a lot this year. It was just kind of a fun turn your brain off slasher for me. It didn't have the extra wow punch though that like I think the original. I mean, let's be honest, the original four have. Even three without Kevin Williamson is still, I think, marginally better than Scream 5.
Mhm.
Weirdly enough, but Scream 6 looks to be different, and this teaser gave us something different. Like Ghostface on a crowded subway is kind of terrifying. It looks like it maybe is taking place around Halloween, maybe because there's a lot of costumes
Mhm.
on this train. Did you catch the Samara Weaving bride from Ready or Not cosplay?
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a couple Easter eggs in there. There's someone in a
Yeah,
hockey mask too. So
yeah. There's a Jason mask. Yep, yep. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, it doesn't show much.
yeah.
I really hope that Mindy Meeks is safe because that trailer definitely gives me Mindy Meeks is not safe vibes, and she was one of my favorite characters from
Mhm.
Scream 5, one of my favorite of the new cast. But yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty pumped for this. I hope that they do something different, and I hope that they have copious homages to Jason Takes Manhattan, which is a really crappy movie that I love.
I hope it ends with Ghostface falling into a vat of acid and becoming a weird child, like in that.
Yes,
Jason
yeah,
Takes
it
Manhattan. Yeah,
has to do that
yeah.
because that's the funniest ending to a
Uh,
slasher ever.
it's so dumb. Um, yeah, I don't know. I thought this was a fine teaser for kind of just like whetting our appetite for what we're gonna get in Scream
Yeah,
6. Um, it shows off the main cast that's left over from Scream 5. At least the new cast. We don't get to see any returning cast like Courtney Cox, who I think is in
no.
this movie, correct?
Yeah, she is in this movie, and there have been set photos of her
Okay.
like there have been photos of her on set, so
Okay.
she's definitely confirmed for it.
Hayden Panettiere is coming back. Kirby, one of
Yep,
the standout characters from a personal favorite Scream of mine, Scream 4.
yeah,
Yeah, I didn't love Scream 5. Scream 5 kind of felt a little too much like Scream 4, which I think just did it better because it had better characters overall and the Wes Craven factor. But I'm excited for a new setting. Most importantly for this movie, I'm excited for them to get out of Woodsboro. I'm excited to be in a having a proper horror movie set in New York. It's because I can't think of the last one that we've had where it's like New York City is the backdrop for this horror movie.
yeah, yeah.
Pretty
It
pretty
has been
excited for
quite
it.
a while, and when you think of New York horror, there really hasn't been much since the '80s that
It
have
was insane.
really
It's a very 70s,
captured it.
80s thing to do New
Yeah,
York horror. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic on this one. I'm not getting my hopes too high, but I'm also gonna, I don't know, I'm pretty stoked for it.
Mhm.
I love Ready or Not. I really like Scream 5, even if I don't love it. And yeah, I'm sure Scream 6 will have some fun surprises.
I'll ask you this before we I'll use this as our transition to the next piece of news. Is Stu Mocker dead?
I think so. I
Kevin Williamson himself has said he's dead
Yeah,
in the last couple weeks. So I'm like, no. I'm
yeah.
starting to lean towards, we're moving on from that.
And I'm okay with that because having him still be alive, I get that like Scream is always taking like tropes and subverting them, but it also kind of has to be somewhat grounded in realism and having a, you
Yeah,
know what
but
I
then
mean?
there's the ghost of Skeet Ulrich in Scream 5, and I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, but that could just be schizophrenic
I
hallucinations. So
guess. I guess. But speaking of Mr. Matthew Lillard, he has been cast alongside Josh Hutcherson in Blumhouse's Five Nights at Freddy's. Sam, do you know anything about Five Nights at Freddy's?
I know it's really popular with middle schoolers because when I worked as a middle school tutor, kids would like whenever kids would find out I was into horror, that's what they'd try and talk to me about, and I never had any clue what they were talking about. I like it looks cool, it looks fun. I love the artwork that I've seen from Five Nights at Freddy's. I've never read any of the like comics or watched the web series or whatever it is.
I think
Uh,
it's a video game first, right?
was it a video
Yeah,
game?
I'm pretty
Okay,
sure.
okay,
But now it's this
okay.
big
So
multimedia thing entity.
yeah, yeah. So I don't. I mean, I'm always excited to see Matthew Lillard do horror, no matter what it is. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'll definitely be at this. This will be my Five Nights at Freddy's introduction. I'll
I
probably see some former students in the theater.
I only recently got into like horror video games. Like me and Kayla do a lot of watching of the like
Yeah,
gameplay watching, which I find to kind of be like the scariest way to experience horror, at least like still get under my skin, because
yeah,
horror movies have kind of desensitized me by watching so many of them. But I've watched a little of like Five Nights at Freddy's and wasn't like my bag, where I'm like, I get why this is popular with middle schoolers, but it's Matthew Lillard. I think
yeah,
that's the selling point of having a horror star. I would call him, yeah, definitely a horror star.
yeah.
In
He's a
in
scream
this
king.
movie, yeah, definitely. I'm excited, yeah, to have him in this movie. Like, I'm trying to think of the other 13 Ghosts is the movie I'm thinking of, where that movie is not good,
He's
but Matthew
great in it.
Lillard in it is like the most entertaining thing to watch in that movie. So
Yeah,
I'm hoping if Five Nights at Freddy's the movie is not good, at least Matthew Lillard is doing something like that in it.
yep. And Josh Hutcherson is always pretty solid too. I don't know if you ever watched the Hulu original, the Future Man that he did. That was
Mm-mm.
like a ripoff of The Last Starfighter meets Terminator. I think you would dig it. It's produced by Seth Rogen, and it's got
Oh.
a little. It's more like a sci-fi action type of thing, but there's some horror-ish stuff in it from time to time because of that Terminator kind of influence, I guess. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's solid. Josh Hutcherson is, I don't know, he kind of won me over with that, and ever since I've kind of enjoyed seeing him pop up in things. So
Speaking of people popping up and things, if you guys had the chance to watch Terrifier 2 this past year, you might have seen this guy's name pop up in the credits and then him not show up till after the credits. That is AEW superstar Chris Jericho, who is set to star in the horror wrestling themed movie Dark Match. I'll take the reins on this. Sam, do you know who Chris Jericho is?
I do know who Chris
Okay,
Jericho
okay.
is. Yes, yeah.
We have
So
I'm trying to get Sam into wrestling. That's something that's one of my goals for 2023 is get Sam into wrestling, because I'm a huge wrestling nerd. I know Sam's likes. I think like if he got into it, you would just love wrestling. And Chris Jericho is probably a great guy to like ease your way into it, because he does combine like the theatrics of movies with the sport of wrestling.
okay,
But yeah, like I said, he popped up at the at the end of Terrifier 2 in the after credit scene, even though he's like fifth build at the beginning of the movie, which I found hilarious, intentionally or not. I found that very hilarious. I think we're into.
Multiverse of Madness did that with Charlize Theron too. Her
That's
name was in the
right.
credit before her mid-credit scene.
That's right. What are we doing here, people? Chris Jericho is a ton of fun to watch on screen. Massive horror fan too. So to see him do this, I kind of read the plot a little bit. It's like this wrestling. I assume Chris Jericho is playing a wrestler in this movie, and this group of wrestlers, or the town that this wrestling group is taken over by a cult. So it's like cult plus horror plus wrestling all in one. So I don't know. I think
That sounds
it's a cool concept.
yeah, that sounds fun to me. I'll watch that one with you, Casey.
Cool. I'll get you into wrestling before that, so you can be like, oh yeah, Chris Jericho.
Yeah, get all the inside jokes, and I'm sure there will be cameos.
I
If it's a
hope so.
wrestling horror movie, like they're gonna have a bunch of
I hope
wrestlers in
so.
it, right?
I
Yeah.
hope so. I hope it's like McGruber, where all the wrestlers show up and just blow up in a van,
Yeah.
including Chris Jericho in that movie.
Yep. Yep. Oh
Yeah.
my god. What a
MacGruber.
blast from the past. I have not
Yeah.
watched that movie in so long.
Yeah. I have actually never seen MacGruber. I've only ever watched that scene.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, God. You would dig it. If
I
you
think
like
so.
stuff like Hot Rod and like Pop Star, you would dig
Yeah.
MacGruber. Yeah.
All right. MacGruber coming into the show later.
It can be horror-ish.
Sure. Sure.
Casey, now I've got to ask you a question.
Yeah.
We've talked about seller news.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you be doing lately?
What am I be doing lately? It is the holiday season as we're recording this, between Christmas and New Year's. So my December, as far as like recent watches go, has been filled with like a lot of Christmas horror. So I'll just read a couple that I've been watching, and you and I watched a couple of these together. We watched Joe Bob's what was it called? Christmas Yuletide or something like that.
Ghoultide Get
Ghoultide
Together.
Get Together. Yeah. So we watched Don't Open Till Christmas. That was a ton of fun to watch with Joe Bob.
My God.
The movie's not good.
No,
but
it's terrible.
having kind of this like watch along atmosphere to Don't Open Till Christmas is a perfect way to watch it.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. It's a ton of fun. It was a ton of fun to watch with Joe Bob and Darcy. And it's exactly the type of movie that I love when those are the types of movies I love Joe Bob playing, because they're just, I don't know, you can check your brain at the door and just have fun with them. And Joe Bob brings the brain and the knowledge, and you don't have to bring anything.
That was a ton of fun to watch with Joe Bob. Will I ever watch that movie again? Yeah, I don't know.
I might. I'm not gonna lie.
It was fun.
I thought it was fun.
Some other Christmas themed horror movies I've been watching lately. I watched a bunch of the Killer Santa movies, including Violent Night with David Harbour. Have you seen Violent Night?
I have not. So okay. I think I'm just gonna buy it because I know I'm gonna love it. It's from the David or Chad Stahelski's like stunt group, right? Like they did the stunts for it, the John Wick people.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, yeah. Then I'm just gonna buy it because that they have not produced a movie yet that hasn't been like a ton of fun that I haven't wanted to watch over and over again.
And I think that's the best way I describe it for people kind of on the fence about it. It's a ton of fun. It's what you expect. Besides David Harbour, I think everybody's not very fun to watch. Besides John Leguizamo, who's the villain of the movie, I think he's a ton of fun. But like they spend a lot of time trying to build characters where you're like, yeah, let's just get to Santa murdering people.
Gotcha.
Speaking of Santa murdering people, I know you don't care for this movie, but I finally watched Silent Night, Deadly Night, the original.
Yeah.
I loved it. It is perfect amount of 80s sleaze to keep me entertained throughout, and a ton of fun kills. The Linnea Quigley antler scene is like an all-timer in my mind now of slasher scenes. Ton of fun. Scene. But I think the best Killer Santa movie is a movie you and I both really, really, really dig. Christmas, Bloody Christmas, Joe Begos classic. I'll say classic, new release.
It's a modern classic.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Instant classic. This will go on my watches every Christmas now alongside like Black Christmas and stuff. Like, this is
Shutter TV
so much fun.
This every time I've gone on to Shutter TV and Shutter's been playing this, I've just stopped it and just watched it from wherever it's at. I love this movie. It's and it might honestly be in my top 5 horror of this year. I love it that much.
It's in my top 5 favorite movies this year, period.
Yeah.
Of 2022.
It's got this punk rock raw energy to it. Like, it's not a perfect movie, but I think that's what I like about it so much. Is like it's not like oh my God, I love this. This is a 5-star movie. It's oh my God, I love this. This is a dirty, grimy, kind of like at times just not good, but just entertaining as hell, like, there's just something about it that hit all the right notes for me. And yeah, I dug it. I dug it a lot.
Yeah. Christmas, Bloody Christmas rules. Joe Bagos is one of my favorite directors right now. I still think Bliss is probably a better movie, but like, I think this is my favorite of his work so far. I can't wait to see what he does next. And the fact that like I watched it at home, weather's been awful here, and I just want to stay home during this kind of weather. But the fact that it played in theaters nationwide, I think is truly remarkable, and props to Shudder for putting this movie out like that for people to watch. What else did I watch? I watched Krampus. I'll leave it
Still
at
not
that.
your thing?
Still doesn't work for me. I will say the like Jack in the Box scene in the attic, I'm like, yeah, that rules. I love that
love
scene.
the
I love
creature
that scene.
design. I've watched that movie. I didn't even put it on my recent watches because it's just a every season one for me. I think I've watched it 3 times this month.
Yeah, it just doesn't, I don't know, that movie just doesn't work for me. It's my 3rd time watching it, I think, and I'm like, kind of stays the same. A movie that has like kind of grows on me every time I watch it though, Black Christmas 2006. I love this movie. It's so much fun, so gross, gory. I think the ending is kind of awful, where it's like in the hospital and not in the house. I don't think that works, but I think the rest of the movie with the sorority house aspect really works and is gross and grimy. And I think if it was released today, people would look at it a little differently. I know it's not your
You
thing.
might be right. Yeah. I find that one borderline unwatchable, but
I dig it. My last
I get why you dig it. I just don't.
I'm sick. I love eyeball gore. So like Lucio Fulci is my boy. So this movie has so much eyeball gore. I'm like, yeah.
That's the least of that movie's problems, though. It's the initial turnoff for me, but it's not what keeps like if it was just the eyeball gore, I'd be like, yeah, it's not my thing, but it's an okay movie. But oh man, there's just so much in that movie that just actively turns me off from it.
I don't know. I dig it. It's a gross, grimy movie. I get if people don't like it. My last ones here for like movie watching will kind of tie into like other stuff, I guess. I watched, and you watched part of this too with me before we watched Joe Bob. I watched the 12 Slays of Christmas, which is like full moons.
I caught the tail end of it.
Yeah, Full Moon's latest straight to Full Moon streaming services movie, which I think they do. I think it's at least one a month or once every 2 weeks they release a new movie on Full Moon Features.
Of course they do.
This one's 45 minutes. It is basically scenes from other Full Moon movies as this group of girls is opening Christmas presents from a creepy Tales from the Crypt keeper looking dude, and they're Full Moon toys that you can buy on their website. And it's just a 45-minute commercial to buy their toys, and I kind of give props to them for having the balls to do it. It was fun to watch for 45 minutes, but it's not a real movie.
Yeah, it's fun.
And then so I was trying to think of like other Full Moon Christmas movies. And the closest thing we could think of is the Ginger Dead Man.
Yeah,
I realized,
a Christmas movie.
Yeah, it's barely a movie. I realized,
but it's barely a Christmas movie.
Yeah, there's a Ginger Dead Man in it, and he's voiced by Gary Busey, and this movie's not good. I love Charlie Band. I love Full Moon. Other recent things I've been reading, it came from the Video Aisle, which is like this huge book on the history of Full Moon, and it's super interesting, super in depth. Tons of interviews with people. But man, this Ginger Dead Man did not work for me. I realized watching it, I'm like, oh man, I've never seen this movie before. Now I know why. It's just not very good or not very fun either, but it's what it is. Yeah. I guess that was it for recent watches. Do you want me to share like our other stuff outside of horror? watches?
Sure. I can do
Otherwise,
watches, and then we
Sam,
can both do
first,
collectibles.
what do you do be doing?
What I've been doing is I've been quoting a lot of Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed for some reason recently. I've not watched that movie in a few weeks. Okay, a
A
few
few
months.
weeks.
But usually it's only a few weeks. It's actually been a few months, and I think that's why I've started to quote it, because my brain is telling me like it's time to watch that
Mhm.
again. I love those movies. Um, we kind of covered a couple of my recent watches. I don't have much more, but I did watch Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. I watched the Joe Bob presentation of that, and the 74 Black Christmas, which that was
Mhm.
just a classic. I don't
Yeah.
have anything to say on that one. But Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, I don't like the first Silent Night, Deadly Night. I watched the 2012 remake, Silent Night, which is a very loose remake, and I did not like that. But I was like, I'm gonna watch this because it's Joe Bob. And I watched it for Joe
Mhm.
Bob and ended up kind of loving the movie. It's not good.
No.
It's a clip show. It's like the first 40 minutes are a clip show of the first movie,
Mhm.
including sequences that I don't even like from the first movie. So it started off and I'm like, oh, this is not my thing at all. And then when it like turns into the movie that it should have just been the whole time, I love it from then on. I love Ricky. I think
Mhm.
he's, oh God, garbage day.
I was gonna say it as one of the all-timer bad movie lines. Garbage day.
I just love it. The whole, yeah, the whole second half of that movie had me just like busting a gut, and maybe that wasn't the movie's intention, but any movie that makes me laugh that heartily, I can't not give at least 3 stars to. Uh, and then one movie that I unironically like just genuinely love and think is one of the best movies of the year, maybe even one of my just general favorites, is The Menu with Anya Taylor-Joy, Nicholas Hoult, and Ray Fiennes. Casey, you haven't seen this movie yet.
Haven't yet.
It comes to streaming on January 3rd. I expect your thoughts by the morning of January 4th, because this movie is just, I don't know, man. This movie, I loved it. It's not what I thought it was going to be at all. And I mean that in the best way possible. Like, it's a dark comedy. It's like it deserves to be up there in the mentioned in the same breath as the greats like Heathers and Midsommar. I consider Midsommar a dark comedy too, because that movie's funny as hell.
What?
Um, oh my God, if you don't laugh through Midsommar, you're doing it wrong. Okay.
I don't usually laugh through Midsummer. No.
It's so but yeah, no. Okay, so maybe you won't laugh throughout. No, you will. You'll laugh throughout the menu because the menu is genuinely hilarious. Um, but it's also very dark, and it's also a little touching. Like there's a poignancy to it that I was taken aback by. If Ray Fiennes wasn't in the Grand Budapest Hotel as M. Gustav, this would be my favorite Ray Fiennes performance. I just think he's tremendous in this. Anya Taylor-Joy is incredible. You want to punch Nicholas Hoult in the face the entire time he's on screen, and he does that so well.
I already
Um,
wanted to beforehand, so that'll
yeah,
help. Yeah.
yeah, he trades in on that very well in this movie. It's great. I dug it. It made me so hungry for a cheeseburger. Um, and once you watch it, you'll understand why. It's just, I don't know. It's one of my favorite. But I went to the theaters to see it. There wasn't very many people in, and that's kind of how I've been liking my theater experiences lately, because then you just don't have to worry about other people. And it's my favorite theater experience I've had in a long time. And I mean, I watched Top Gun this year, like Maverick, and I still think the menu was a better theater experience. I dug it. It's not a must see on the big screen, but when it hits streaming, I hope everybody checks it out. I hope it finds an audience, because it's one of my favorites of the year. I dig it.
Yeah, that's one as soon as it hits streaming, we're planning on checking out. Uh yeah, I'm excited for it. I've heard
Yeah,
nothing but great things. So
yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Like, if someone asked or if someone told me they didn't like this movie, it's one of those where I'm like, I just have a hard time understanding that point of view. You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those where, like, I respect it, whatever, if it's not your thing, but God, I don't know.
But
Checked
we
all my
can't be
boxes.
we can't be friends anymore if they don't
Yeah,
like
we
it.
can't be friends anymore.
Okay.
Like, you better like this movie,
Okay.
Casey, or we're only gonna have one episode of Screams from the Basement.
That's it. All right, Sam.
Right.
What else? Is that all your recent watches? Since I
That's all
stole
my recent
half of
watches.
yours.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I got to geek out about Christmas, Bloody Christmas, man.
God, that movie rules.
It does.
Okay, other stuff. What do you got for other things to talk about? For things you've been doing.
So you know what's kind of funny? I actually have a couple things from SuperCon to show off
Okay.
because Maria did a lot of her Christmas shopping at SuperCon evidently.
Oh.
And I was like, oh my God, I was surprised by a few things. I have this really cool new ink piece of Bride of Frankenstein with Elsa Lanchester as Mary Shelley in there too.
That
Like,
rules.
I freaking love this. I'm getting it framed. I'm so excited.
Who did the artwork?
It was, I cannot read the signature. It's like CM. It was the female
I think
comic.
it's Clara who did the poster
Yes,
for Super.
Clara. Yeah, that's who it is. So she did
I
the
think she's
poster
from
and
Sioux
she did
Falls,
this
yeah.
artwork. Is she? Oh my God. Well, this is like one of my favorite art
I think
pieces
so.
I've ever been gifted. I love it. And then I got from Moose's Marvelous Wood
Oh,
Burnings this
that rules.
Pumpkinhead piece. Isn't this the coolest thing? I freaking love Pumpkinhead. So yeah, I'm so excited. These are all things I'm gonna hang up. And then she stopped by the Brick Bros or whatever they're called, brick guys, brick builders, the Lego people
Okay.
with the
At
minifigs.
SuperCon?
Yeah, at
Okay.
SuperCon. And she got me all the little slasher icons like Chucky. I got Freddy. I got Pennywise and Michael Myers.
Yeah.
And Sam from Trick or Treat.
Oh,
Obviously. Man. What other Sam would I be thinking?
Leatherface.
Leatherface.
Yourself.
Yeah, myself. And then I brought like my favorite of the bunch. I got Jack Torrance from The Shining.
I love the like receding hairline on the Lego.
I know, it's so great. It's like that one's just my favorite, and it's so freaking movie accurate. I don't know how they did it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, those are my big. They're not like huge collectibles or anything, but they were just cool things. They were awesome. I was really excited when I opened all of them.
Yeah, those are cool. I'm gonna have to pick up some of those Legos, I think, this year. I've been putting it off every year at SuperCon. I'm like, I think I'm gonna have to just do it because those are cool.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they're Lego figures, but they're cool Lego figures.
And I don't own any Legos right now. In terms of my collection, I have 0 Legos. But as soon as they release like a Universal Monsters set,
yeah,
like you can build Dr. Frankenstein's laboratory or something, I'm picking those up. But
yeah,
the stuff I got is also like my Christmas gifts. My parents gifted me X and Pearl.
Nice.
On DVD. I've watched X in the theater. I haven't watched Pearl yet, so excited to check that out. So
yeah.
I also picked up since we talked about Silent Night, Deadly Night 1 and 2, I picked up the Silent Night, Deadly Night 3, 4, and 5.
On Vestron?
Yes. Blu-ray
yes.
set. Sam, I will gift you the digital code so you can watch those, and maybe next December we can do the Silent Night movies or something.
Dude. Oh my God.
I haven't seen any of the sequels besides the second one.
I haven't either. I've heard they get crazier and better as they go.
Brian Usna directs one of them, and I'm like, yeah, all right, I should be watching this already.
Yeah, right.
Some like other gifts I got myself a Christmas gift because again, we said this at the beginning of the show. We're both narcissistic, right? That's why we're doing a horror podcast. But I had right behind me, as you can see, Sam, no one else can.
Yes.
There's the Freddy wall. That's
The
what
Freddy wall.
what it's called. It's just Freddy Krueger stuff. There's a poster Kayla got me right there behind me.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a cool poster.
it
I
looks
can
like
kind
Freddy
of make it
from
out.
like part 5.
Yeah,
He's like falling apart and there's souls coming out of him.
yeah.
But then I picked up the NECA Nightmare on Elm Street Freddy
Nice.
for myself for Christmas because I need more Freddy figures. But this is
Oh, heck yeah.
from the first one. It includes the not the cell phone, Nancy's phone with the tongue coming out of it.
I love that.
When he cuts his fingers off and they start like oozing green stuff out of him. And then his face, like when he rips his own face off. So
That's
it's a
awesome.
super cool figure. I don't know if I'll take it out of the box or not. We'll see. And then Kayla got me the first of probably many of these because it's going to be an addiction as soon as I get one. NECA's Monster, Universal Monster Collection. This is the first one I got. It is the Wolfman, the black and white version of Lon Chaney Jr.'s The Wolfman. This is the first one, like I said, that I've gotten. And that means I need to pick up Frankenstein's Monster Bride, Dracula,
Mm-hmm. The
Creature,
Invisible Man one is
Invisible
so cool.
Man, the Mummy. So it's just going to become an addiction now to pick those up.
Yep.
I need to draw the line sometimes with these figures, but if you get one, you kind of got to get them all.
We have to do a like classic Universal Monster episode sometime.
Hell yeah.
I love those movies.
Yeah, I'm in. Absolutely in. All right. I think that's it for my.
That's all you're doobie doing?
I think that's all I've been doing lately.
That's a lot of doobie doing though.
That is, we both had a lot of doobie doing going on in the last couple weeks. I think we're going to have a lot of doobie doing going on this year as well in 2023.
Yep.
2022 was kind of an insane year. I think a lot of people are like, man, this was a great year for horror. Guys, every year is a great year for horror. Like, come on, who are we kidding?
Mm-hmm.
And
it has been ever since like 2014, honestly.
Yeah, I was going to say like since, probably 2014. Like the one that comes to mind where I'm like horror kind of turned in my mind is You're Next, where people like the Adam Wingard, that group of guys, when they started releasing stuff to theaters, I think was when horror really took a nice turn into a good direction, pretty much where we are now, into 2023. And I'm expecting the same here for most of these movies to be a ton of fun, or stuff that we're going to be talking about the end of the year next year. So should we jump into our top 10 most anticipated horror movies of 2023?
Hell yeah.
All right. So the way we kind of have these lined up is we have a 1 through 10 and we'll just kind of go by order of release date. This is no like favorite to least favorite, most excited, anything like that. It's just by release date. Then we have a few honorable mentions at the end. And this kind of lined up perfectly because the honorable mentions do not have a release date at this moment. So we'll kind of be able to talk about those just in a broad idea of when we'll get to see those. But number one, at least the first movie coming out here in 2023, is a movie I think we're both very excited for. She's been the talk of the internet for the last while. Coming out January 13th, Megan from Blumhouse.
The long-awaited legacy horror sequel to Drake and Josh.
Megan.
This movie looks insane. I'm so excited. The fact that it's from the same people that did Malignant, what more do you want? Of course it's going to be good. Malignant was great.
This movie is okay. So when I first heard about it, I'm like, yeah, sure. I don't know what I really think of this. And then that trailer,
but it's the
first trailer
attitude of it.
Yes, it has kind of become I don't know. It's a bit of a life of its own right now of the marketing for this movie, where it's definitely leaning into the zanier aspects of it. Of like, we know this is a goofy doll coming to life. So let's lean into this as a goofy doll coming to life AI movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, when the first trailer features almost an entire like 20 seconds of your scary doll just like dancing super weird,
Down a
you know that
hallway.
this movie is gonna be, yeah, this movie is gonna be insane. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be fun. Yeah, I can't wait for this. This might be, I know we're talking about this first as the number one or whatever, but this
Yeah,
might be my most anticipated of next
yeah,
year. I'm very excited.
yeah. The zaniness of this movie is what's selling, I think, everybody on it. The fact that it is in January makes me even more excited, which usually is like the dumping ground for movies.
Mm. Underwater was released in January though, and that cracked
Yeah,
my top five. Like
yeah.
January horror has some gems every once
Hmm.
in a while.
These are usually like the original IPs that have some sort of hook or buzz around them that way, where there's just this, they're the concept, not really the movie star ones that we'll talk about later, or like the franchise ones.
Yeah.
And they're very hit or miss though. Underwater, I think, is a huge exception to the January horror movie
Oh, I agree.
lineup.
I
Yeah.
agree.
So
It's
I think Megan's
insane
going
that
to
one of
fall
the
more towards
best.
that.
Yes, I do too. I do too. I like that studios are now like, if something is genuinely good and they know that it can make money in January without a whole lot of strong competition, I like that they're actually putting them out in January. Like
Hmm.
it allows them to, Megan could have been released in October or in the fall season, but it's going to be going up against a lot of other stuff. It's going to be going up against legacy sequels and all that. And for it to come out in January, it's going to rock the socks off the box office. I mean, this is a bona fide, like this is a sure hit. If
Yeah.
this flops, I would be shocked.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that like Smile the in 2022, where it had this kind of
Hmm.
viral marketing behind it, Megan's has that kind of same vibe going for it, and has really
Yeah.
no other competition, at least in the horror genre for the entire month of January. So next up we have the return of M. Night Shyamalan to the big screen, Knock at the Cabin, which comes out February 3rd. I'm super stoked for this movie.
Yeah.
M. Night is one of my favorite filmmakers ever. I Even the bad ones I sort of dig, besides Last Airbender. But anytime he comes out with a new movie, I'm at least intrigued to check out. The trailer for this movie has me hooked. Super excited to see Dave Bautista in this movie, who's looking like he's already the best wrestler turned actor. I think there's no
Oh yeah.
contest anymore. Two, I think he's looks like he's gonna be given a performance, or giving a performance that he can actually sink into in this movie.
Mm.
And I don't know what the movie's about. I've never read the book that this is based on, but M. Night Shyamalan with this concept that we've seen in the trailer, I think, is a perfect match.
Yes. So here's what I'll say. I am very excited for this movie.
Okay.
I'm very excited.
Okay.
No, like I will be there. That the marketing has left Paul Tremblay and his novel out of like the entire thing. Like they are very much marketing it as an M Night idea, and that bums me out a little bit. I'm like, I feel like because I've read the book.
Mm-hmm.
The book is haunting.
Okay.
I I don't know why they're separating. Maybe M Night's like, well, if people have read the book, they know the twist. I don't want them to know that. But I'm like, God, that's not a reason. That's not a reason to take someone's name off their work. But I get it. So I'm excited,
I think it's
but
purely a
everybody
mark.
should at least Google Paul Tremblay's name
Yeah.
and look up Cabin at the End of the World, because that's what the book is called. It's very good, very good, very effective horror read. But yes, Knock at the Cabin looks awesome. I echo everything you say about Batista. I'm so freaking pumped to see him chew into a villain role like this.
I was just going to say about the not having the book's author Paul Tremblay involved. I think it's just kind of a marketing thing. I don't think
Yeah.
it has anything to do with M. Night.
No,
Because you
I
like
don't
look
think
at
so
any
either.
other book beside it, even I mean Harry Potter, that you don't put like J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter
Yeah.
above it. You know, it's just the title. I think
Yeah.
in this
That's
case,
fair.
it should at least be on the poster, or we'll see when the movie
Yeah.
comes out, I guess, too, if it puts like
They'll
if it
have to give
credits
him a
them.
credit or
So
something. Yeah.
yeah,
So
I don't know. That's how you sell a movie. Even M. Night's name, I think he still gets a few snickers when people see his name pop up
yeah.
in a trailer, and those people are wrong because M. Night rules as a filmmaker. Yeah, I don't know. I'm super stoked for this movie. Cannot wait to watch it. He's had, oh, I was about to say nothing but bangers since like The Visit, but Glass was fine.
I still haven't seen Glass.
It's
I
fine.
like Unbreakable. I like Split. I know what Glass does, and I'm
Mhm.
like, it sounds cool in concept. I don't know if like it's fun to watch,
The concept,
you
yeah,
know?
it's better as the concept than what M. Night does with it, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
So
Old is one of my favorite movie going experiences of the last couple of years. That was
I did
so
enjoy
much
seeing
fun to
Old in the
watch.
theater with you. It was a lot of fun to watch.
I
That
don't
was
think I've giggled so much at a movie in
yeah,
a theater
and that was theater
until
was packed
it
too.
was, yeah.
So yeah,
I think I might be giggling at this one though. Coming out also in February. I think it's like a one night only Fathom event.
probably.
For this movie, it is oh brother, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
I Can I tell you something, Casey?
Yeah.
I am all for using existing IP and turning it on its head and
Yeah.
subverting it and perverting it and doing all sorts of like. And I think that it's great that Winnie the Pooh has entered the public IP and that a filmmaker is able to take the works of A.A. Milne and turn it into a disgusting slasher film. But I love Winnie the Pooh so much that I won't be watching this. I just can't,
Mhm.
man. There's a disconnect in my brain. You know what I mean?
I get
Like,
it. Yeah, yeah.
it's cool that it's here, but like Winnie the Pooh is sacred to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also like, yeah, I love the Banana Splits movies. So like, you know,
Winnie the Pooh is we've kind of talked about this since Winnie the Pooh himself is coming to Sioux Falls
yeah,
at SuperCon. We're going to be plugging SuperCon, I think, a lot when we do this.
yeah, probably.
We talked about this a little bit, you and I. You were definitely more of a Pooh fan than I was. I didn't
Mhm.
really watch that much Winnie the Pooh when I was growing up, so I don't really have a childhood connection, as I would say if they did like a Mickey Mouse slasher movie,
Yeah,
where I'm like, Mickey Mouse to me is like this wholesome character where you can't really touch that.
yeah.
Here I'm like, yeah, let's watch Winnie the Pooh hack up Christopher Robin. Let's do it. Yeah, why not? This sounds fun. I think the same group that did this movie is doing like a Bambi horror movie. Like, all right, sure, why not?
Yeah.
I'm more excited for
that
that.
one that one I'm a little bit more excited for actually because I don't care about Bambi.
You have to imagine that movie's going to be like Bambi's going after the people that killed his mom, right?
Yeah, I'm all for that because that's gonna be like a Bambi coming after hunters going, you shot my mom,
Yeah.
and like killing him,
John Wick with a deer.
goring him with his horns. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably be checking this out in the theater. If not, I'll check it out on VOD. But yeah, this sounds like a fun way to use an IP that just entered the public domain and really get some awesome marketing behind your movie, because
Oh yeah.
any other time
Talk
with
about striking while the iron's hot.
yeah, I've watched the trailer. I don't know if you have. It looks very
I
much
have,
like
yeah.
it's a low budget slasher movie. It's just the fact that it's called Winnie the Pooh.
Yep.
That's gonna get people in seats, and good on
Blood
them.
and honey.
Good on them. Good on the filmmakers for this movie. We talked about this one a little bit earlier. Scream
Yeah.
6 comes out March 31st of this year. I think we're both excited for it. I don't really have much else to say about it.
No, I'm just pissed that I have to wait all the way to the end of March to see it.
When did 5 come out? Was that the end of January this year?
5 was
The
like
22?
beginning of January. It was
Okay.
one of the first new releases of the new year. I remember seeing that one
Mhm.
like really shortly after New Year's. Yeah.
I'm
I want to
curious
say that was like the 5th.
how Scream 6 will do in March, especially if like we're kind of speculating it might take place around Halloween. I wonder if it would have done
Yeah.
better in the fall, but I guess we'll see. See how well it does.
Oh, I know, because the last one that released at this time was Scream 4, because it released on my like the weekend of my 18th birthday, and it flopped in the theaters.
Mhm.
That's why we didn't get a Scream 5 for so many years. So I hope they really know what they're doing with this.
Yeah, I do too. I
I like
think
this franchise. I'd like to see it continue.
yeah, I think this is definitely a franchise that the younger generation has really accepted, the younger generation of horror fans, those in high school, college aged kids.
Oh yeah.
I think Scream has kind of become that franchise. So I think it'll, I mean, I would hope still do well.
And Jenna Ortega is a draw at this point, I
Yeah.
feel like. She's just
She's going to
made
be
a
all
huge
over
name
that
for
marketing
herself.
going forward after
Oh yeah,
Wednesday now.
especially after Wednesday. And I mean, she was having a banner year even before Wednesday.
Yeah.
Like
She's
she's in
the
like 4
Scream
different
queen
horror
of
movies.
2022. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm pretty stoked to just see more of her in anything. So yeah, I hope they market the hell out of we have Jenna Ortega,
Mm-hmm.
especially since they won't be able to do that with Neve Campbell.
Yeah, I know. I think we'll get a cameo. That's all I'm going to say. I think we're going to get a cameo.
You think?
We'll get at least I think it'll be an after credit scene setting up the next one, but I think she'll show up in some way. Another movie that I think is going to be purely marketed on one singular actor. This is coming out the next month, April 14th. This is Renfield. And what actor am I talking about? Nicholas freaking
Caroline
Cage.
Williams.
Nicholas Holt.
Yeah.
No, Nicholas freaking Cage as Dracula.
Yeah.
As Universal Dracula.
You've seen the like set photos of him in his makeup and everything,
Yes.
right?
Beautiful.
Looks incredible.
Cinema.
Oh, yeah. I'm stoked for
like
Renfield.
purple velvet outfit that he's wearing. This is going to purely be sold, I think, on Nicolas Cage's Dracula. I'm surprised we have not gotten this movie already, but the fact that we're getting it now where Nicolas Cage is like going all in every time he shows up, I think is perfect.
Yeah. Well, if you look at all of these too, like Scream 6 already has a trailer. The next movie we're talking about, which comes out a whole week after it, is already posting behind the scenes photos, and a trailer is supposedly on the way. I bet we're getting a Renfield trailer soon, and I cannot wait. I want to see it. Like, I want to see what this is going to be. You know, it's so interesting, and it's told from the perspective of my favorite character in the original, Dwight Fry's, Renfield. Now Nick Holt is Renfield. I really liked him in The Menu. He was good. Maybe he'll be a good Renfield. I also liked him in Mad Max Fury Road. So I feel like this will be this is a good cast. It's a stacked cast. And you have Nick Cage's Dracula holding it all together. You're right. That's the only selling point they need for this movie.
Yeah.
People are going to see Nick Cage's Dracula, and it's going to be like, yeah, I'm seeing that.
Yeah. This is the first Universal monster movie we're getting since Invisible Man, correct?
I believe so, yeah.
So this I think will kind of be a tone setter alongside that one. But this one isn't with Blumhouse like that one was, though, either. This is a straight up Universal movie. I think this will be a trendsetter for what they're going to be doing going forward, because we do have a couple other projects that I don't think anything else is shooting right now that I can think of, but I know there's been a bunch announced, so I guess we'll kind of see.
I'm still waiting for the Ryan Gosling, Lee Winnell Wolfman.
Yeah.
Like,
and I know James
put that one on ice.
And I know James Wan has been attached to Frankenstein for a while. I don't know if that's actually happening.
Karen Kusama Dracula at one point. Like, I want all of these
The
movies.
Paul Feig Monster Mash.
Yeah, the one where it was like, it sounded like it was going to be Monster Squad, essentially. Like,
Yeah.
it sounded like Paul Feig just wanted to do Monster Squad. I'm like, let Paul Feig do Monster Squad.
So I don't know. We'll see. I think this will be a trendsetter for what Universal wants to do going forward.
People show up.
I think they will. It's the Nicolas Cage Dracula selling point. I think will definitely sell that movie. The next one, like I said, these aren't in any order for most anticipated, but this one's my most anticipated. Coming out the next week. Oh my god, I can't wait. We're gonna get Nicolas Cage's Dracula, and then Evil Dead Rise the next week, April 21st. Oh my god.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. That one might be a streaming one, right?
No, it is during that whole HBO Discovery debacle of them canceling movies such as Scoob 2 and the Batgirl movie. This is one of the ones that I think benefited from it. It's going to get a theatrical only release.
Damn. Okay. I didn't realize that. That is exciting.
So
I've never seen an Evil Dead movie in the theater. Oh, wait. No, never mind. I watched both of them, both of the first two at the State, late nights.
So hopefully, maybe with this new one coming out, they'll play Army of Darkness and the super underrated 2013 remake. I don't know if it's a remake either. I guess whatever you want to call it. It's a great movie, but this movie, I think Bruce Campbell has officially said he's retired from playing any live action version of Ash, which I think at this point,
which means animated sequence in the middle of Evil Dead Rise.
Yeah, why not? I think that's the best route to go for these movies going forward.
To go animated.
Yeah. No, to just let Ash retire and move on with other characters. I think that's the best route to go going forward.
Yeah. Agreed.
From what I've been hearing, this is like Demons 2, but with Evil Dead. It's in a high-rise apartment.
Yeah.
Count me in. This sounds awesome.
All the photos that I've seen, like all the stills and things, look incredible. Like I'm like, yeah, this looks like it's going to be a lot of fun, but it looks like it's going to be scary as hell too. Like,
I think tonally going forward for this series, I think the 2013 movie, the Fede Alvarez one, is the kind of the tone you should kind of look at. Especially the second half of that movie, where I still think it has that biting, kind of mean-spirited sense of humor that the first Evil Dead has, before it gets like
you don't
slapsticky.
See it as much in the first half of the reboot or reimagining or whatever, but it's the second half where that movie to me really comes alive. I don't know if I like it as much as you. I haven't watched it in quite some time though, but it wasn't until like the very end, not the very end, but like the second half of that movie where I was like, okay, this rules.
So I think we're gonna get some scary / zany Deadite stuff going on in this movie. Super excited for it. Yeah, like you said, Sam, I think we're gonna get a trailer really soon for that movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Next one, I'm curious what you think of. This comes out July 7th. It is Patrick Wilson's first directorial effort, if I'm not mistaken.
He's directing. Yeah.
This is Insidious 5, which I believe takes place after Insidious 1 and 2. So picking up from that storyline with I don't remember the family's name, Rose Byrne and Patrick Wilson. Their family.
So theoretically, you won't have to have watched 3 or 4.
I would assume you wouldn't have to.
Huh. Well, then that's good news for me because I have not seen 3 or 4. Huh? I'm not a massive fan of these movies. I know that you love Insidious and you think it's very scary. And the first one, weirdly enough, just bores me. There's the laundry sequence. Is it laundry that she's doing where you see the person in the background?
Where it's the tracking shot where she's like, she's like taking out the garbage and back in the house. Yeah.
Yes, I love that sequence.
Incredible.
But like, man, otherwise I find myself kind of flatlining with that movie. I don't know if it's because it like revolves around the comatose kid for a while, but like something about it just like disconnects me, you know? But The second one I remember thinking like it was creepy, is pretty good. Did James Wan also direct that one? Or
Yes.
was that a different? Yeah, I thought he
Yep.
directed that one. And then I haven't seen 3 or 4 just
Okay.
because like the first 2 were okay, but they weren't like anything huge to me. This one picking up right after, I might go see it in
Mhm.
theaters. Plus, I want to see what Patrick Wilson's like as a director. Dude's been making movies that I love for a long time, so I'm sure he's picked up some
Mhm.
cool stuff along the way. The better question is, what are you feeling about this? Because you're a massive fan of the series.
Yeah, I love this series. This is one of, if not my favorite, like ongoing horror series, at least modern.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is one of the scariest movies of all time, in my opinion. Every time I watch it, still sends shivers down my spine. I think it's that scary, especially the scene you're talking about, where it's this
Yeah.
little boy in the house, ghost boy, and Rose Byrne doesn't see him, like standing in the corners and stuff. Terrifying, terrifying stuff. 2 is a lot of fun. We should probably just do an episode on the Insidious series, Sam.
I would love to. I will watch them again and see if they can. Like,
Yeah,
I want to like these movies more than I do.
yeah. Maybe if we talk about them, they'll work a little better. Who knows? But I
Yeah.
think 3 and like it's. I think it is diminishing returns for each movie. 3 is Lee Winnell takes over for
Okay.
James, and
Yeah, that's right.
is a prequel. And then the 4th one is also a prequel, but a
And
sequel to
both
the.
of those center around like kind of Lin Shay, right?
Yep.
Okay. And I love Lin Shay, so I would
Yeah,
want to. I would watch those.
those are
I'd
her
watch those. We
movies.
should.
100%
Okay.
her movies. Yeah.
Well, we should do an Insidious episode sometime
Mhm.
then, because I would like to. I would like to check that out.
Yeah. I've
Maybe
only
we can around July.
hey, be on the lookout, I guess, for our Insidious episode. Yeah, I'm super excited for this one. I think that was something kind of missing in the 3 and 4 was the family of Patrick Wilson and Rose Byrne. I'm excited to see what Patrick Wilson does. This is,
Yeah.
I mean, must be a franchise he's at least really wanting to get back to direct for the first time. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to see what he brings to the table.
Yeah, because it's not like he is in a lot of things. He does kind of pick and choose projects, I feel like. He's not someone who's in 4 or 5 things a year. So for him
Mhm.
to dedicate like directing as well as, presumably starring in it, that's a big undertaking.
Mhm.
So
And I think the James Wan aspect of it, James will be producing this, and I think probably
oh yeah.
asked Patrick if he wanted to take over for directing for it, or maybe vice versa. Patrick pitched him an idea or something like that. So
Yeah.
the next one I think is going to be your more of your bag, Sam.
Yeah, the next one's 100% my bag.
The next one is The Nun 2, scheduled to release on September 8th. You are a big fan of the first Nun, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. Yep. I freaking love The Nun. I understand why people don't though. Like that's definitely a movie where I watch it and I'm like, yeah, I get it. But also it just works for me. I love the creepy gothic atmosphere, the like kind of hammer horror type of
Mhm.
vibes that it has. I love that it's actually like filmed on location. And I just think there are a couple of really banger scare sequences. And I think it's really funny when Taissa Farmiga levels up like Avengers style by taking her oath as a nun. And it like has the superhero music playing and she's putting on like all the habit and all that. And you're like, yeah. So yeah, and the Nun 2, I don't know if this tips your interest any, but the Nun 2 is actually written by um the I want to say it's Alika Cooper, Akila Cooper, who wrote *Malignant* with James Wan and this year's the upcoming Megan.
Okay.
So if that in any way kind of said it like piques your interest, yeah, The Nun 2 has been on my it's been a most anticipated one for me for a while because and then when I found out that it was the writer from those, I was like, yeah, okay, I'm
That
like so in on this.
that does pique my interest a little bit more.
Because I know you don't care for the Nun as much.
Yeah, I didn't love the first Nun. I thought the atmosphere, like you said, the production design and set design of the movie is pretty damn incredible. Just thought the scares and the story just didn't work. It's also my least favorite part of The Conjuring 2 is the Nun.
I agree with that actually.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. I do think I'm going to put my flag in the ground for this statement here that the Conjuring universe is the second best cinematic universe existing right now. I don't think there's any question about that, in my opinion. Where you have the
Who's the
Marvel,
first?
the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Come on,
After Phase 4, though?
they're not great, but they're still better than anyone else is doing right now. Am I wrong?
No, you're still right,
But I think the Conjuring universe is probably the second best, including all the Conjuring movies, the Nun, the Annabelles. That's what kind of worries me, though, is that Michael Chavez is taking over for the sequel here, and he did The Curse of Llorona,
La Llorona,
and the very forgettable Conjuring 3. So that's
here's what I'm hoping, though.
Worried about.
The script is weird enough that we get a William Brent Bell situation like with Orphan First Kill.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like where like William Brent Bell is not a director who like is ever gonna make a movie that's wow incredible.
He is an auteur of cinema, Sam. William Brent Bell.
William Brent Bell, director of one of my favorite movies, Stay Alive. I love some William Brent Bell movies. I have no qualms about it though. He's
and The Boy,
not
and The
a
Boy
great,
2.
Yeah, okay. I like The Boy. I haven't seen The Boy 2.
I remember nothing about
it. but no, that's kind of what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping like it's good enough script that it can overcome a director that sometimes comes off as lackluster.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's my hope for The Nun too.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of directors that sometimes come off as lackluster, next up is October 13th's remake / sequel to The Exorcist, the first of 3 movies, directed by horror auteur David Gordon Green.
What do you think of this, Casey? You can start this one.
I can. I'll start by saying, yeah, I've made it no secret, and I'll make it no secret here. Not a fan of his latest 2 Halloween movies that he did, Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. Those made me less excited to watch him make 3 Exorcist movies. I don't know what we're going to be doing with this one. Not sure what else we can do with the Exorcist series. Like, I don't know what else in this world we can do. The first one is, in many cases, the greatest horror movie of all time. And then you have the second one. Third one is really great. Exorcist 3 is really good. I don't know what we're going to do with this. So from what I've been hearing, it is a direct sequel to the first. So I don't know what we're going to do with that. I don't know. I'm very hesitant. I'll be watching it just because it's The Exorcist, but I don't know what to expect.
I'm excited for this too. I my issues with Halloween Kills aside, I really like his Halloween trilogy. I know we're on opposite ends of the spectrum with Ends though. Yeah. And we're I feel like we're fairly similar with his Halloween 18, where we both like it, but recognize that it has some issues. Right?
Yeah. I don't think it's a perfect movie. I think it's the best of the 3, but I don't know if you do. But
yeah, I think Halloween Ends is my favorite, but I think that's more like personal preference rather than like quality, you know?
My thing is going into this movie, The Exorcist, now that it is a planned trilogy, which I assumed the Halloween series was as well, unless he lucked into that. I don't know. But I'm hoping he has a set story he wants to tell through 3 movies instead of what feels like three very, very, very different movies that don't connect at all with the Halloween trilogy he made.
I gotcha. Yeah, yeah. I, yeah, I like The Exorcist. I've not watched it in quite a while. Honestly, like you could say that I've never watched The Exorcist because
What?
the only time I've watched The Exorcist is on those YouTube things when I was like a kid, you know, like the like piece by piece ones. And I remember sequences that really scared the crap out of me.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never watched it since. I love The Exorcist 3. It's got one of the greatest jump scares of all time, and I actually think the movie itself is very good. Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to see what David Gordon Green does with it. This isn't one that I'm gonna like rush out to see right away though. Like I noticed that this comes out on October 13th. Presumably Friday the 13th part 4 will be playing at the State that night, so I will have a different engagement. I don't even like part 4 that much, but I'm
What?
gonna see all of those. No,
Sam
part
is
4 is one of my least favorite Friday the 13th
you are an
movies.
insane person who has never watched The Exorcist besides YouTube clips in 10-minute increments and hates Friday the 13th part 4, the second best Friday the 13th movie.
That second act is terrible, man. It's so
God.
boring. It's so boring.
You don't like watching Crispin Glover dance?
No. I mean, he's fine. He's fine in it. Like all of the teenagers are fine in that movie.
Insane.
I know. That's maybe my hottest take in the Friday the 13th series, but I got to be true to it. It's just not the one I'm going to reach for. I don't understand when people say it's the quintessential F-13 movie. It's not for me.
I might agree with that statement. Not your statement, the statement that it's the quintessential one.
Yeah,
anyway,
I think 2 still is, even if it doesn't have the hockey mask. But
the last one here we have in our top 10 though, Sam, another long running horror franchise. First Jason had his X, Jason X. Now we're getting Saw X in October 2023, October 27th. I would love to see this in space. I haven't watched the Chris Rock version,
Spiral.
I haven't watched Spiral yet.
I liked Spiral.
I don't love this franchise though either. I've seen all of I binge watched all of them. I think I've seen the first 2 multiple times. But I'm like, I'm not.
Those are the best ones.
Yeah, I'm not reaching for that box set when I'm wanting to watch a horror series. I'll go check this one out, but I'm not like clamoring for a new Saw movie though either.
Yeah, I get that. So Spiral kind of reinvigorated my love of the. I fell off around 4. I really liked the first 2. I remember watching Saw 2. I think Saw 2 was my first one, and I was like, oh my God, this one is really good. And it was gory, but it was like there was also a story there. There were characters.
I think it's the best
first
one.
one's
Saw 2.
See, I think the first one's still my favorite, but I do like, 2 does some cool things that 2 does some things better than 1. I don't know. After 3 though, it fell off, and I don't know how many of the sequels that I've seen after 3. I know that I started 4. I tried to re-binge them all after a Spiral, and I made it to about 4 again, and I was like, I don't know. After the first 2, they just kind of fall off for me, and I have a hard time like forcing myself to watch them, That said, Spiral was really good. I love the concept of these movies, and so yeah, I'm gonna see Saw X in theaters, especially if we get a trailer and it turns out it is in space. I'm gonna watch Saw in space.
Yeah, if they want me to go see it opening weekend, buy my tickets now. Billy the Puppet needs to be sent to space.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. That is our top 10. Sam, should we talk about some of these honorable mentions that don't have a release date as of right now?
Yeah, some of these, 2 of these I'm very worried about.
So the first one, I'm gonna throw it to you first here for Salem's Lot. The theatrical remake of the movie is supposed to be coming out here in 2023. Have you seen the original
Yeah.
TV movie Salem's Lot?
Yes. I love the original. Have you seen it?
I have. It's been a while though.
Okay. So I love this movie. I own it on Blu-ray. And it's not one I watch every year, but like spooky season comes around and it's always one that I like pull off the shelf because like I might watch this. The only reason I don't every year is because it's a very long movie. It's like a 3-hour TV movie, but it's very good. I love the book. It was one of my first Stephen King books. I read it right around the time I was confirmed, and I carried the crucifix that my parents gave me around in my backpack for the rest of the school year. Uh, I love this book. I heard Gary Dauberman was doing it, who directed my favorite Annabelle movie, Annabelle Comes Home.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, he's good for like gothic, tense, scary set pieces. Then I love this idea. And then everything happened at Warner Brothers, and now this movie doesn't have a release date anymore, and I'm getting real worried because man, Gary Dauberman doing Salem's Lot would be dream come true for me, I think. But yeah, what do you think? What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think this was definitely a movie that was put into production because of the success of the It movies, 1 and 2,
100%.
and Gary Dauberman wrote both of those.
Yep.
He's heavily involved in the Warner Brothers horror group of movies, including the James Wan Conjuring universe. I believe he wrote the first Conjuring, if I'm not mistaken, alongside Annabelle, directing Annabelle Comes Home. I could be wrong. But yeah, I think that's kind of he's probably the guy to be making this movie if your name isn't Mike Flanagan. Like Mike Flanagan's the go-to Stephen King guguy.
He's about the only other person I would be like, he's about the only person I'd be like, yeah, he could replace Gary Dauberman. Like, I think, like you said, Dauberman wrote both of the It movies. He understands King. He understands the like tone that you need to go for. And yeah, I think, sorry, I stepped on you though.
No, I don't know what else to say because I'm curious what's going to go down at Warner Brothers, where their thought process is with having like Evil Dead go from HBO Max release to a theatrical release. Why haven't we heard the same for Salem's Lot? And maybe they're just trying to figure out a release strategy for it. I think, I don't know. I almost wanted to say release it in a November timeframe, but you look at Dr. Sleep, which was released in November timeframe and completely flopped. So who knows? Maybe
for lack of trying. I saw that 3-hour movie in the theater twice.
I was there. I think you and I were probably in the same screening of that movie. At least one of them. But I think Salem's Lot might fall into a straight to HBO Max once they figure out what they're doing with HBO and Discovery merging together, which I don't think is a bad thing. That.
Yeah. I mean, look at Prey and Hellraiser.
Yeah, I think horror is safe when it goes to streaming. I think that's a good place for it. Like you said, with Prey coming out this year on Hulu or Fresh or Smile got a theatrical release, but
Smile was gonna be Paramount and then they put it to theatrical. That's the thing, like, well, Texas Chainsaw Massacre on Netflix too. Like these legacy horror movies have been coming to, like, these smaller like takes on them have been coming to streaming and become huge hits. Everybody was talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre all weekends. Everybody was talking about, Hellraiser all weekend. Everybody was talking about, and I think if you release something, it might not be like a legacy sequel, but it's a Stephen King adaptation. Though Stephen King might as well be his own cinematic universe at this point. People show up to those movies unless it's Dr. Sleep
or Firestarter.
Yeah, but Firestarter was bad.
The next one I'll leave up to you too, because I don't think I
Yeah.
ever read this as a kid. But
Oh,
it's a movie that's kind of stuck in post-production hell right now. This movie was supposed to be released at least the last 2 years.
2 years. Yeah.
That movie is Dark Harvest. So again, no
Yeah.
theatrical or any streaming release date for this movie yet.
Yeah. And this one bums me out because it's David Slade,
Mm-hmm.
who did 30 Days of Night, which is such an underrated movie. Dark Harvest is based on a book by Norman Partridge. It's like a young adult horror novel, very quick read. And it's like quintessential scarecrow horror. It's all about the October boy coming to life every Halloween, and all the boys in town are starved for like a week and then let loose on Halloween night to hunt down the October boy. And whoever kills the October boy gets a one-way ticket out of town. Like, it's set in this small town in the 60s, blah, blah, blah. That's the only way you get out of town, is if you kill the October boy. And from there, it twists and turns, and the rituals are not exactly there for the reasons you think they are. And through this like main character, you start to realize that this town's traditions are rotting it from the inside out. And it's just an incredible read. It packs so much in a very short number of pages, and it's very cinematic. Like, the first time I read this book when I was in like 7th grade, I was like, oh my God, this would make the best movie. And when I found out that David Slade was making that movie, I was like, hell yeah, like he could do it. He would be a good choice for it. And I've been thinking that for like almost 3 years now. And I'm like, I just want to see this movie, man. Like, oh, Casey, like, I know you don't read, but the
Yeah, I
book
don't
is
know how.
incredible. And
Now, I don't think I've ever read that. I remember it though. I remember it
yeah,
when I was like in the library and stuff. But yeah, this movie has been on my radar for, like you said, almost 3 years now.
yeah,
This seems kind of ripe to go like to Netflix or something
it
right
does.
away.
Like,
So I'd be curious if a streaming service picks this one up this year, or what is going on with it that it hasn't been released yet, at least a VOD or something.
yeah.
Because yeah, from what I understand, this movie's done, in the can, ready to go, and has
Mm-hmm.
been for a while. So
Oh yeah,
maybe
it's
this will
been
be
in
the year. I
post
don't know.
for, yeah, just in that post-production purgatory, I guess.
I feel like we're gonna have a trick or treat situation here, where this movie finally gets released to no fanfare, and then 3 years from now, everybody will be like, Dark Harvest, you need to check out this underrated
Yep.
horror movie.
You're gonna have October Boy statues and
Yeah,
like Spirit Halloween and all that kind of stuff.
yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure.
The last one here that we have for like honorable mention is the first of, again, another trilogy that is supposed to be coming out.
Yeah.
It is Rennie Harlin's remake sequel, his take on The Strangers,
Rebootish?
rebootish of The Strangers. Man, Strangers Pray at Night is one of my favorite slash movies the last couple of years. Still don't
Yep.
think it gets enough love. That movie is super underrated. And again, I think for me, the first movie is really, the legacy of it is a line at the end of the
Yes.
movie more than anything else. Whereas
It's a
Strangers Pray
little
at Night,
dry getting to the end of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that movie is the line of Because You Were Home. Like
Yes.
that's why that movie still has a legacy today. Strangers Pray at Night is this throwback 80s neon fueled slasher.
Yeah.
I'm
With an
excited.
all-timer kill sequence in the pool.
Yeah, that
Like,
is an incredible sequence. Yeah.
I love it.
And another Drake and Josh reference. The little girl, or the main final girl of that movie, is the little girl in Merry Christmas, Drake and Josh.
Is she really?
Yes.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
But Rennie Harlin's The Strangers. I like Rennie Harlin. He directed
Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street 4. I love that movie. I think he's a
Didn't he
fine
do
director.
makeup on like a bunch of other stuff too? Or is he? I don't know. I feel like I hear the name Rennie Harlan so much.
He
And I
has
know
been
I
a,
like
he has been around a very, very long time. Sam, a favorite of yours, I believe, Deep Blue Sea.
That's right. Yes. Oh my God. Yeah, that's why I was thinking of him. I'm like, okay, Rennie Harlan. I know there's like one movie from Rennie Harlan that is like a massive Sam movie, and it's Deep Blue Sea. That movie fucking rules.
Or The Covenant, which is a movie you have recommended to me from
Yes.
2006.
Oh my God. Yeah,
directed
you
by
gotta
Rennie
watch
Harlan.
that
Yeah.
one. Yep.
But yeah, he's kind of just like this journeyman director, which is why I was surprised. They're like, yeah, here's 3 movies for you, Rennie Harlan.
Yeah,
like, what?
it's kind of crazy.
You're gonna have the Die Hard 2 guy make a bunch of strangers movies? Like, all right, why not?
Hey, Die Hard 2 is
I like Die Hard 2.
like the 3rd best Die Hard movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, but my number 2 might be different than your number 2.
There's only one number 2, Sam.
Live Free or Die Hard.
Get out of here. I don't know. I'm excited for this.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
I'm more excited for Rennie Harlan's The Strangers trilogy than I am David Gordon Green's The Exorcist trilogy.
Oh, unquestionably.
Okay.
There's no competition. Like, I like David Gordon Green's Halloween movies, but I don't care about his Exorcist trilogy that much. Like, Rennie Harlan's The Strangers, hell yeah.
We're striking The Exorcist from our top 10. The Strangers is going here instead.
Yeah.
Why not?
Cool, man.
Cool. That's it.
We did it.
We did it. We're gonna be at the theater for these, so if you're also planning to check these out, there's a solid 10 movies to be checking out. Again, theatrical for all these movies. So again, but who knows what'll pop up as those streaming releases, those Shudder originals. I think those are always the ones that kind of come in under the radar, the ones that hit the festival circuits and then end up on.
Oh yeah. What's that Skinamarink that's coming soon?
Yeah.
That one sounds interesting.
I know nothing about it, and I've heard it's terrifying, and I'm like, I cannot wait to watch that.
Yeah. I'm excited. All of my favorite horror movies of the year typically end up being ones that I didn't know about at this point in the year before, so it's like, all right, Megan might be up there, but I guarantee you there's going to be like 9 other movies that knock the rest of these off of it, because that's just how it goes.
I was just going to say, if we do an end of year episode, I think a majority of these won't be talked about on it, just because of, not because they'll be bad, just because we'll have a bunch of other movies we haven't heard of yet.
It's always the movies that just surprise you that stick with you, I think.
It's always the Christmas bloody Christmases of the year that
the ones that come in right at the end and
steal your heart, knock your stockings off. All right, Sam, I think that's it.
We did it. We did a podcast episode.
We did. It's been a while.
It has been a while.
I think we did all right. Hopefully everybody enjoyed it. Yeah, I don't know what our topic is for next time, but we'll have another episode here, like we said at the top of the show, 2 weeks from now.
2 weeks from now.
Should we do some? Go ahead.
We're just kind of flying by the seat of our pants to start this with, because we just wanted to, we were like, we can plan this or we can just do it. And so we're just doing it, you know?
We miss talking about horror movies. It gives us an excuse to sit around for an hour and a half and just shoot the shit about horror, which is something we like to do anyway. So Sam, question. What do you got to plug? What is Sam Lenz doing outside of starting this brand new podcast?
Oh my gosh. I'm doing a few things. For one, you can always follow me at Lenz Art on Instagram, or you can follow my comic strip, The Ghoulfields, at The Ghoulfields on Instagram. I just released a Christmas special called Sally Scares Santa to Death. I like it a lot. I think it's a lot of fun. I hope you have fun watching or reading it. If you do so choose. That's my big plug. And then Casey and I are also working on a few cool things in the film community. We've always got the filmmaker roundtables and meetups that we're doing, which Casey, you probably know the date for the next one, but it is escaping my mind. No, do we not have a date yet?
I do not have a date for January yet. I think the plan is to move them to Saturday mornings.
Oh, okay.
Just so we can maybe get some more people.
Yeah.
Especially now that the weather is awful.
Yeah.
We give people a little bit more time instead of at night when it's not fun to drive in this type of weather.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you want to figure out when those are, you can check us out, South Dakota Film Community Group, because that's where me and Sam are, in the lovely, lovely terrain of South Dakota, where it feels like we're in the thing.
Yes.
All times. It's awful.
Which is also a movie I watched in the last week.
Hey, Sam, we lived the thing. I don't think.
Yeah, we did.
Plugs for me. You can follow me, Casey Kelderman, on Letterboxd. Drop little reviews for everything I watch there. And then one other thing we should plug for what me and Sam are working on. We are the film festival guys coordinators. Guys for SuperCon here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, which is going to be coming up at the end of September, the first weekend of October, last weekend of September. We're going to be having some cool horror things going down there.
Hell yeah.
Look out for that. So we'll be plugging that as we get a little closer to the show too. Yeah,
absolutely. You might actually hear some. No, never mind. I won't tease anything else. But yeah, no,
I don't know.
They might. Yeah, go over to the SuperCon page. They are teasing a guest right now that I think you'll probably be able to figure out. There are 4 clues that I think that you should, at this point, be able to figure out who the next guest they're bringing out is, and it's pretty friggin' exciting.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool guest, and lots more to come. So we'll talk about them as soon as they announce them. So we'll talk about them on our show too. So
yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool. Sam, let's wrap up episode 1 here. Thank you all for listening. Again, check us out in a couple weeks. Episode 2, we'll be talking about a new topic and new horror news and anything else horror related. Yeah, I guess I don't have a sign off. What's our sign off here? Right here, live on air, Sam. What's the sign off?
Not my hunky boys. No?
That'll work. I guess that'll work. Thank you all for listening. Check you out next time. Later, hunky boys.
Later, hunky boys.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal: providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.